Mauryan Empire art, agriculture and scltupure. Mauryan Empire art. The Mauryan Empire, which existed from around 322 BCE to 185 BCE in ancient India, produced a rich and diverse array of art and architectural achievements. This period marked a significant phase in Indian art history, characterized by the emergence of monumental architecture, sculpture, and other artistic expressions. Here are some key features of Mauryan art. Pillars and edicts. One of the most iconic features of Mauryan art is the Ashoka pillars. Emperor Ashoka, a prominent ruler of the Mauryan Empire, erected several pillars with inscriptions detailing his moral and ethical principles. These pillars were made of polished sandstone and featured exquisite sculptures at their capitals. The Sarnath lion capital is the most famous example, depicting 4 lions back to back. This capital is now the national emblem of India. Stupas. Stupas, or sacred mounds, were important architectural structures in Mauryan art. The Great Stupa at Sanchi is a remarkable example of Mauryan stupa architecture. It consists of a circular mound with a central hemispherical dome, originally containing relics of the Buddha. The stupa was adorned with elaborate gateways, toranas, featuring intricate sculptures depicting scenes from the life of the Buddha. Palaces. While there is limited surviving evidence of Mauryan palace architecture, it is believed that the Mauryan rulers had impressive palaces. These palaces were likely constructed of wood and other perishable materials, so very little physical evidence remains. However, some descriptions of these palaces can be found in ancient texts. Sculpture. Mauryan sculpture primarily focused on religious themes and narrative depictions. The art of this period is characterized by a sense of realism and attention to detail. The sculptures were often carved in polished stone, and they portrayed figures in a naturalistic manner. These sculptures were used to adorn various architectural structures, including pillars, stupas, and railings. Symbolism. Mauryan art frequently incorporated symbols and motifs from the natural world. For example, the lotus, a symbol of purity and enlightenment, was a recurring motif in Mauryan sculptures and architecture. The bull and elephant were also common symbols in this period's art. Yakshi figures. Yakshis were female deities associated with fertility and abundance. They were often depicted as voluptuous women with elaborate jewelry and clothing. Yakshi figures were an important part of Mauryan art, appearing in sculptures and reliefs on various architectural elements. Polishing techniques. Mauryan artists were known for their exceptional stone polishing techniques. They used abrasive materials to achieve a high level of surface smoothness on stone sculptures and pillars, giving them a glossy finish. Mauryan Empire agriculture. Agriculture played a vital role in the economy and sustenance of the Mauryan Empire, just as it did in many other ancient civilizations. Crops and farming techniques. Agriculture was the primary occupation of the majority of the population. People cultivated a variety of crops, including rice, wheat, barley, lentils, millets, sugarcane, and cotton. Farming techniques during this time were generally rudimentary, relying on manual labor, basic tools like wooden plows, and seasonal monsoon rains for irrigation. Irrigation. The Mauryan rulers were known for their efforts in promoting irrigation systems to enhance agricultural productivity. They constructed dams, reservoirs, and canals to control and distribute water for irrigation purposes, which allowed for multiple cropping seasons in a year and a more reliable food supply. Land revenue system. The Mauryan Empire introduced a structured land revenue system to efficiently collect taxes from agricultural produce. The assessment of land taxes was based on the quality and productivity of the land, and this revenue was utilized to support the empire's administration and public infrastructure. Agricultural trade and economy. Agriculture formed the backbone of the Mauryan economy. The surplus agricultural produce was not only used to sustain the population but also for trade and commerce within and beyond the empire's borders. Agricultural commodities were often exchanged for other goods and services, contributing to the growth of regional and international trade routes. Royal support. The Mauryan rulers, particularly Emperor Ashoka, promoted the welfare of the people and their agricultural practices. Ashoka's edicts emphasized the need to provide medical care and other support to farmers, ensuring their well-being and ability to work the land effectively. Silk production. While not a staple crop, the Mauryan Empire also promoted sericulture, silk production, as part of its agricultural activities. Mulberry cultivation and silkworm rearing were encouraged to boost the production of silk, which was highly valued and traded both within and outside the empire. Mauryan Empire sculpture. Mauryan sculpture is characterized by its distinctive style that evolved during this period. Some notable features of Mauryan Empire sculpture include pillars. The Mauryan Empire is renowned for its monumental pillars, the most famous of which is the Ashoka pillar at Sarnath. These pillars were made of highly polished sandstone and usually had a circular capital with animal motifs like lions, bulls, elephants, and more. These capitals are often referred to as lion capitals, and are considered iconic symbols of Mauryan art. Lion capital of Ashoka. The most famous example of Mauryan sculpture is the lion capital of Ashoka, which is now the emblem of modern India. It features 4 lions standing back to back, symbolizing power, strength, and authority. This capital was initially placed atop a pillar and is now preserved at the Sarnath Museum. Stupas. Mauryan architecture also included the construction of stupas, religious structures that contained relics of the Buddha. The Sanchi stupa is a prime example of Mauryan stupa architecture, featuring intricately carved gateways, toranas, depicting scenes from the life of the Buddha. Didurganj Yakshi. This sculpture is a fine example of Mauryan art. It's a sandstone sculpture of a female figure, possibly a Yakshi or nature spirit, with flowing drapery and intricate details. The Didurganj Yakshi is now housed in the Patna Museum. Polished stone art. Mauryan sculptures are often carved from polished stone, primarily sandstone. They showcase a high level of craftsmanship and attention to detail, with a focus on naturalistic and lifelike representations. Naturalistic forms. Mauryan sculptures aim to depict the human form more realistically, capturing details like facial expressions, clothing, and hairstyles. Buddhist influence. The Mauryan Empire was instrumental in the spread of Buddhism, and this is reflected in their art. Many sculptures from this period depict Buddhist themes, teachings, and symbols. Aniconic and iconic representations. Mauryan art often included both aniconic, symbolic, and iconic, representational, elements. Aniconic symbols, like the wheel and the tree, represented important concepts like the Dharma and the Bodhi tree under which Buddha attained enlightenment. On the other hand, iconic representations included statues of the Buddha and other figures. Thank you.